So next in the program, we have an invited talk titled Turning Challenges into Innovations with ICT by Ms. Arisa Siong, Tech Policy Director from Infocom Media Development Authority, Singapore. Please welcome Ms. Arisa.
Good morning. Let me get a little bit organized. Test this. Okay. Your Excellency Hiroshi Ishikawa, Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Singapore. Dr. Tokuda Hideyuki, President of the National Institute of Information and Communication Technologies of Japan. Dr. Sumei-sun, Executive Director of A-STAR's Institute for Infocom Research. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. I would like to start by expressing my appreciation to our hosts, NICT as well as I2R, for inviting me today to share this talk at this year's ASEAN IVO Forum. Today's conference explores how ICT-based solutions address regional and sustainability challenges across ASEAN. Just as smooth seas never made a skilled sailor, which is actually a quote that I saw yesterday by chance, and I thought it was actually very apt for this talk today. Such challenges could also help drive innovation. ICT development has always been a core tenet of economic and social development. For instance, empirical studies have shown that on average, a 10% increase in mobile adoption is associated with an uplift of GDP by 1%. Further, this positive economic effect accelerates by approximately 15% as mobile networks upgrade from one generation to the next. Looking ahead, generative AI is expected to be a key driving force of economic transformation and will also shape how societies consume information and interact. Today, I would like to share some of Singapore's initiatives in generative AI and advanced digital connectivity with you. I thought a good place to start is actually by looking back at general purpose technologies that have transformed past eras. A common theme across different general purpose technologies is the significant infrastructure investment that accompanies alongside. In the case of the steam engine, the investment in railroads in the 1980s amounted to 4.5% of GDP, allowing railroads to connect inland cities and catalyze trade. The electric motor in the 1920s and the internal combustion engine that followed saw 2.5% of GDP invested in automotive infrastructure, fundamentally changing mobility. Similarly, traditional mainframe hardware in the 1980s and 1990s commanded a 2% investment rate. Then came telecom era, maybe the most familiar with the participants here today, in the 1990s and 2000, where investment sat at around 1.5%. Today, the velocity of investment in Gen AI is growing. I think every day when I open the newspapers, I see a new investment deal of OpenAI with yet another compute or infrastructure hardware provider. The velocity of investment in Gen AI is growing, yet Gen AI capex is around 0.8% of GDP, suggesting that we are still early in the overall development cycle of AI. In fact, actually, the bulk of the investment in AI has gone into building AI. Around 90% of the investment in AI actually goes into building AI. Comparatively, only 10% goes into AI safety. I tried to look for rough statistics or numbers that would indicate the proportion of researchers in technical AI development versus that in AI safety, and there's no comprehensive figures, but estimates suggest that around 90% of researchers globally today are actually working on building AI, and only 10% on AI safety. Such a safety disparity in AI is also reflected in a McKinsey study of the state of AI in 2024. This study reported that a far higher proportion of organizations who consider AI risk relevant, so the top right chart here in this slide, is much higher than those that actually address said risks. The bottom right chart here, where you can see that the bars are a lot lower. These numbers collectively suggest that there is more to be done with respect to AI safety and addressing risks. Addressing AI risks is important because this can undermine the progress towards the UN Sustainability Development Goals. For example, biased AI models might be at odds with the aim of reducing inequality in SDG number 10. Factuality of models and guarding against hallucination can help drive SDG 16 in ensuring public access to information and protect fundamental freedoms. Of course, a big bucket, I think, is trust in AI that underpins a number of SDGs, including SDG 9 to support technological development. There is no silver bullet to achieving AI safety, and Singapore takes a multifaceted approach through a principled governance framework, putting in place practical tools for industry to implement responsible AI safety principles, as well as actively co-create with industry towards a regime of AI safety that is practical and balances managing risks without stifling innovation. We were amongst the first in the world to articulate AI governance principles through the publication of our model AI governance frameworks for traditional AI in 2019. We subsequently introduced a generative AI iteration in 2024. These frameworks are aligned with internationally recognized principles, including those set in the Hiroshima process that Ambassador referenced earlier. They enable companies to better understand risks, good governance practices, as well as promote responsible deployment of AI. We also support AI adoption in the region by collaborating with fellow ASEAN member states on the ASEAN Guide on AI Governance and Ethics. But beyond frameworks, a core tenet of our approach to AI governance is to develop technical tools that help companies practically apply responsible AI principles. Two such tools that IMDA has developed is AI Verify for traditional AI systems, as well as Project Moonshot for generative AI systems that incorporate the responsible AI principles, testing and benchmark tools. Project Moonshot, for instance, also includes a rate teaming module that allows users to test various underlying models. As this is a fast evolving space and still very nascent, we open source these tools to crowd in contributions. This allows us to grow benchmarks available for the entire ecosystem. For example, we partnered with ML Commons to develop common safety testing benchmarks, which are then incorporated into Moonshot. As international teams are generally not particularly attuned to capturing regional culture and contextual elements, we took intentional efforts to participate in ML Commons AI security and multimodality workstreams to ensure that Southeast Asia specific elements are embedded into test sets that they are developing for international use. To harness the collective power and contributions of the global community, we created an open source community of AI industry practitioners in the AI Verify Foundation. Last but not least, these efforts are underpinned by AI safety research conducted by the Digital Trust Center, our National Center for R&D in Trust Technologies, which also supports the joint testing efforts in Singapore's AI Safety Institute as part of the global network of AI safety institutes alongside Japan and other countries. Beyond AI safety, having multilingual and multicultural AI models is key to safeguarding inclusive access to this fundamental technology across ASEAN. This is in line with key sustainable development goals of the UN, including SDG 11, to make our cities and settlements more inclusive, SDG 9, to foster regional innovation, and SDG 10, aimed at reducing digital inequality. As you can see here, GPT models are not most aligned in values with those, sorry, let me start again. As you can see here in the chart on the right, GPT models are most aligned in values with those of those countries in the Anglosphere and Protestant Europe. Comparatively, the ASEAN countries on the left highlighted in green boast incredible linguistic diversity, which becomes a barrier to digital inclusion if AI models only understand high-resource languages of the West. Hence, in 2023, IMDA partnered with AI Singapore and A-STAR to launch the National Multimodal Large Language Model Program, as Sumei introduced earlier. This program intended to develop base models that would take account of our regional's unique multilingual environment. This enable an intuitive and culturally aware AI applications in the region to be built on top, which have been used by research, industry, as well as for public and social good. Sea Lion here on the left, which stands for Southeast Asian Languages in One Network, is a family of open source models specifically built for our region. Its mission is regional focus to understand Southeast Asia's diverse linguistic and cultural complexities. We have achieved this through massive Southeast Asia data. Sea Lion was trained on 200 billion high-quality Southeast Asia tokens, including regional languages like Thai and Bahasa. Sea Lion also outperforms other open source models of similar size when tested on benchmarks relevant to Southeast Asia region. In fact, the Sea Lion team has also been instrumental in developing the benchmarks to test these Southeast Asian language capabilities through a suite of benchmarks called Sea Helm, which is open source and available online for those interested. Marron, which stands for Multimodal Empathetic Reasoning and Learning in One Network, introduced by Sumei earlier, is a speech-to-text model that excels at emotion detection, sentiment analysis in our native languages of English, Mandarin, Malay, and of course, Singlish, which is a combination of all the above. It also speaks our local dialects, which makes the tool more accessible to our seniors. These models have been catalyzing innovation to real-world deployment. For Sea Lion, AI Singapore partnered with Vistech and SEBX Group in Thailand to develop Wang Chen Lion, customized to take on the unique linguistic and cultural challenges of Thai. Wang Chen Lion topped Thai LLM leaderboards at launch and has been used to remove not safe for work content as well as gambling content. In Indonesia, GoTo adopted Sea Lion as a base for its own AI system, Sapahat AI. Sapahat operates across 5 different Indonesian languages. Amongst its many users, it powers GoTo's GoPay app, which is used by millions in Indonesia. Sea Lion has also been used for social good to develop the Mass Human Intelligence app to provide multilingual accessibility to victims of human trafficking and labor exploitation. It helps break language barriers to provide vital protection and legal assistance to migrant workers as well as trafficking victims across Southeast Asia. Marron has been incorporated in a number of industry solutions, including Axiom's AI's elderly care solution, which provides multilingual and emotion-aware support for seniors, Axiom AI's voice-based application accurately understands diverse local languages, analyze emotional states, and detect early signs of distress for timely caregiving intervention. Axiom is currently exploring the using Marron in scam call prevention, an issue of concern to our local seniors, given the increasing volume of scam calls of late. Marron has also been used in Fatfish's assistive robots across education and healthcare sectors. It enables natural, multilingual, and context-aware human-robot interactions in learning environments as well as healthcare, rehabilitation, or therapy support. These AI use cases and innovation are undoubtedly exciting, but actually rely fundamentally on advanced digital infrastructure to deliver performance and user experience. World-class connectivity is fundamental infrastructure for a digital economy, especially as new needs emerge to support AI, such as high bandwidth, low latency for real-time inferencing of AI models, or low jitter for automated mobile robot piloting. Singapore has always invested early in our digital infrastructure, from putting in place our national broadband network, NBN, bringing nationwide 1 gigabit per second fiber to the home to households in Singapore. The Singapore government invested $1 billion in this initiative, and today, over 85% of residential homes are on a broadband plan of at least 1 gigabit per second. I know I certainly have a little bit more than that at home. What was actually also good as part of this initiative was that we introduced competition in the market by implementing a structural separation NetCo-OpCo model and mandating open access. This resulted in increased vibrancy in the market, with over 30 retail service providers entering and in the market today. Prices in the residential broadband market also halved to about $30 per month from $60 to $120 per month previously. We are not stopping there, and more recently last year, we are investing up to $100 million to upgrade the NBN network, targeting 10 gigabits per second symmetric speeds by 2028 for over 500,000 households. This infrastructure is crucial for scaling AI across all sectors. Investing ahead will help ensure our digital infrastructure is ready to tap on innovations enabled by Gen AI and beyond. Singapore was also one of the first countries in the world to have rolled out 5G standalone in 2020. By the end of 2025, so in a month's time, we will have hit over 95% coverage for 5G SA in Singapore. Beyond rolling out the networks, we have also invested in exploring innovation on top of 5G through our 5G innovation program that carry out 2 tranches of technical and commercial trials. I thought it's timely to share some of the innovation that 5G has enabled in some of these use cases. At our shipping port in Tuas, the Port of Singapore Authority is currently transitioning towards being able to be an unmanned port by 2040. It will do so by introducing the use of a variety of automation technologies, including the use of automated guided vehicles to move containers. Today, they are currently running with 300 AGVs, with a view to increase this 6 times to 2,000 AGVs in the coming years. Beyond AGVs, other automated vehicles will also be used, such as automated crane handling in the orange that you see at the top right here, as well as for automated gantries and container tracking systems. 5G is important to enable the use of these technologies to provide high bandwidth and low latency connectivity, but more importantly, to allow network slicing, to ensure dedicated network resources, to maintain continuous uptime of port services. At NUHS, 5G is enabling mixed reality surgery that allows for a simplified surgical procedure. Let me walk you through this thoracic surgery example in this slide. Today, when a thoracic surgery to remove for instance, identified cancer cell or growth in a patient is identified, this actually requires disparate sources of surgical information. Some collected before the surgery, so for instance, the use of a CT scan, as well as ultrasound, as well as pre-surgical procedures where a camera is actually inserted into the patient to get a closer and more detailed view of the cancer mass. So the surgeon today actually would have disparate sources of information that it has to look across different screens. This information is also presented in a 2D format. And the pre-surgical procedure of inserting the camera actually lengthens the surgical process, as well as entails potential complications from that procedure itself. With mixed reality surgery, a 3D scan of the patient and the tumor can be made and overlaid onto the patient's body directly, providing a consolidated source of information at point of surgical site. The information is unified and 3D in nature. This negates the need to actually conduct the pre-surgical step of inserting the camera into the patient, which not only saves surgical time, but also eliminates the associated potential complications that comes about as a result of this surgical procedure. Overall, this will lead to better health outcomes. The last use case I wanted to share is around QuickBot's use of automated mobile robots for last mile delivery at South Beach Tower. Today, there is some processing capabilities on board AMRs that allows it to navigate our environment. But in Singapore, we have very dense footfall traffic with many barriers. So sometimes this can result in situations where the AMR is stuck and hence require an operator, or sometimes we refer them to as AMR nannies, to go and save or rescue the robot from these stuck and trapped situations. 5G actually will enable cloud processing to supplement AMR onboard processing for enhanced intelligence. So it will be able to better navigate high traffic environments as well as barriers such as gantries and lifts. It will also enable remote teleoperations via a command center to pilot AMRs out in a case where it does get stuck. So while today we may require one robot nanny per AMR, with the use of remote teleops, we can do one to many AMRs. This will help improve operational effectiveness of the AMR fleet as a whole, as well as improve ROI for this use case, which is important to actually the sustainability of 5G innovation. Let me conclude in the same way as I started, with a quote, this time by ASEAN SecGen Mr. Kao Kim Hoon, who underscores that digital transformation must be inclusive and sustainable. These are also central tenets of the UN's SDGs. In our trials and programs, we have addressed early experimentation of technologies, ensured that tech is locally relevant, including to our linguistic diversity and rich cultural diversity across ASEAN. And last but not least, that the tech is trusted. More needs to be done, and I hope today's discussion can help shape a part of this important journey to turn challenges into innovation. Thank you.